Welcome to this session of Tech Talent Talk. We are your hosts, Oliver and Birgit, and we have this series of events to bridge the gap between recruitment and engineering. Oliver, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Oliver, and I do sustainable recruitment.
That's great. I'm Birgit, and I work as a leadership coach and engineering leader. I advise people about creating high-performing teams through culture. What's our topic today?
Today the topic is we're going to talk about developers getting rusty when they move into a leadership position. So the title would be The Rusty Developer.
Exactly. Thank you very much. This was Emanuele. Emanuele is our guest today. Emanuele Giallini works as the Director of Engineering for Maya, currently leading the Fleet Operations business unit. With over a decade of experience as a full-stack engineer, he brings unparalleled expertise to the table. Specializing in the mobility sector, Emanuele has effectively led cross-functional teams for 5 years, driving both innovation and operational excellence. Beyond his technical proficiency, Emanuele has dedicated to mentoring others in leadership, guiding them towards the fullest potential. His commitment to leadership extends beyond professional boundaries, evident in his insightful blog where he shares invaluable insights and practices. Emanuele, first question to you. What does the fear of becoming rusty mean to you, and why do you think this is such a common concern for engineers?
Yeah, absolutely. What does the fear of becoming rusty means to me? Well, actually, this is something that I already felt when I moved into a leadership position, right? And I realized that I couldn't spend that much time doing technical stuff anymore, and I realized that inevitably my technical skills were going down. So moving away from a developer role to a leadership role, this is something that I really realized. And the word rusty comes basically from a one-on-one that I had with a person who was reporting to me. And this person told me, yeah, I would really like to. So this person was thinking about moving into a leadership position, and they say, yeah, I would probably think about moving into leadership position, but I have the feeling that my skills will get rusty. They will rust like a piece of iron, and this really made me positively laugh. It was a very relaxed environment, but it was funny because I imagined this person getting covered by rust, and I said, okay, this is probably something that is very heavy for a person. It's really touching their soul. And then I realized that actually it was the same for me. I spent so much time getting into a tech field and getting better and better every day. A, B, C, always be coding and all this kind of stuff, and then accepting that leading people would mean getting rusty. Actually, was not easy for me. Was really not easy, and was not a pleasure. I went through many rough times, I would say, dealing with myself.
Did you have the feeling that you became rusty yourself when you're once starting into leadership and then developing yourself as a leader?
100%. At the very beginning, for the first couple of months, not really, because I was leading a team of 2-3 people. But then the team grew, and I found myself leading something like 8-9 people, and this was very tough because having one-on-one, supporting folks, doing stakeholder management, acting as a responsible engineering manager for a team. I realized that I was not in touch with the code base anymore, and I really felt that I was rusting, really.
I have the same feeling on one of my first leadership experiences. It was actually also a really small team, but it needed so much communication that the expected 50-50 was not even possible at all. Whenever I touched an item on the board, it was blocked, so to speak, because it was assigned to me.
And you don't have time, right? You don't have time to wrap your mind around the problem, because maybe you have 30 minutes time, 1 hour time, and the time that you spend to get into the topic, to get in that zone, then you're already doing something else, and then you go back, and this fragmented time doesn't really help that much. So I feel you, really.
I just needed to laugh because of this 50-50. What you have said, Birgit, reminded me of what you always tell as a recruiter when you interview people for leadership positions. You always say, yeah, it might be 50-50. It's you might be coding 50%, coaching, leading, managing, whatever. But in fact, I feel it's often underestimated by all the parties involved, that managing, coaching, leading, developing, however you call it, those are all aspects of people management, that this takes the biggest portion of the job as a team lead or whatever this position is called, which has the highest impact. It's not that the mightiest sword is the best at coding and can code 10, 20% better or faster or whatever. That's not the biggest impact such a person can have. It's developing others. And I feel also from the higher management, this is something that doesn't get much appreciation. Very often they ask the technical leaders then nitty-gritty details about the code, where this is not actually the main function that this person has.
Maybe not, maybe yes. It depends on how they are connecting with the people and how they are connecting with the code. What I noticed, especially with tech leads or engineering managers who are coding, the 50-50 thing, the thing that they are capable of coding is the really easy task that you can get done very quickly. Yeah. I don't think that there is like many tech leads or engineering managers who even want to take like a big project, like a big scale project on their own, because the fear of blocking, because of all the management stuff, all of the communication stuff is just way too big. Yeah, and it's also it's great thinking that they have, because they know that the flow through the boards needs to flow.
Yeah.
And the task that they usually have, and I observe it with the current team that I'm in, is they are the contact person for everything outside and from everything inside. Yeah, so everything that is inside needs to have or wants to have some sort of approval from that manager. And so that manager is constantly being poked and constantly being pushed to give approval for something. Tiny stuff, big stuff. I have a question here. I have an opinion there. So this is being orchestrated and handled. And it doesn't come concentrated in one meeting. It comes bit by bit throughout the day. And this is what Emanuele says, that you have like absolutely no focus for coding at all. And you may know this when developers are complaining about having too many meetings. This is basically having many tiny meetings throughout the day as a manager. And this leads to having no focus, and means that, as a manager, you may not be able to do the big projects.
Yeah, +1. And also, it also depends on how many people are you leading, right? Like how much buffer you have. But I fully agree with what you said. I really fully agree, 100%.
Exactly. And Oliver, what you said also as from above, like the appreciation. I saw also a couple of directors and head-offs that also pulled off the expectation of like 80-20, 50-50 or whatever. And for some reason, I don't know what they have done in their tech leadership, tech lead, team lead and engineering management time. But as I said, like not every human is the same. And so I feel like as directors, we need to be careful of like how we put expectations towards our managers that we lead.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. And also like having a technical background and having gone through all those steps, it really helps understanding what those people are feeling. The message that you sent really resonate with me. Yeah, it's a good point. I agree.
Yeah, did you get to learning?
I did, actually, and now that I'm leading leaders, is exactly the same. I'm facing the same. I mean, those people are facing the same thing that I faced when I was in their role. So I'm definitely able to understand what are the struggles, right? Like I would like to code more. I do not have time to code. Many small things that are continuously disrupting me, exactly as you described. It's easier to understand what I struggle when you have been there. Yeah.
And what you also described, Manuele, is the fact that we don't know. Maybe the leaders still want to code and also still want to code a lot.
Sure.
How to enable them? Do you have some tips?
Well, how to enable them to remain like technical or to have enough time to code? What would be the question actually?
I would first say to have enough time to code. Let's assume they would like to code, right?
Okay, yeah. So the first thing that I would consider is to be clear with your manager, right? And to be clear about the expectations. So if your manager expects that you will code 10% of time, then it's not something you can do. But you can make it clear with your manager, like, I would like to move into a leadership position, but I would also like to remain very technical or very hands-on. So probably the amount of people that are assigned to you, that are assigned to this engineering manager area is going to be lower. So you can compromise, absolutely. Another thing that I've seen working quite a lot, especially when I was still a little bit hands-on, was to, because like being hands-on is about the time frame. So having chunks of time, continuous time where you can focus and you can learn and you can do something, get something done. So what I used to do and what I recommend the people reporting to me is basically to be mindful about your calendar. Like at the beginning of the week, block time for yourself to grow, to read an article, to experiment something, to do some coding, to do some technical stuff. Be very strict about the fact that this time is extremely important. So no meetings are allowed there, and also try to stick with the promise that you made to yourself. So don't skip those coding time if this is so important and if this is so critical for you. But everything should come, in my personal opinion, with a good alignment on the expectation between the engineering manager, chapter lead, or tech lead, or whatever we're talking about, and their manager. So what is their manager expecting from them? I think this would be the very first step.
Oliver, you had a point?
Two things, actually. When I interviewed team leads, tech leads of whatever position, one thing they were really sad about is the lack of time for coding, for the actual technical work. And Emmanuel, what you have said right now, that you should block your time, otherwise you won't be able to do that. This reminds me of what I've heard just recently from a psychologist. He said, if you want to do something and you write it in your list, you write it in your calendar, whatever, and then for whatever reasons you are not able to do this, it feels like you made a promise to yourself and now you have to break it. So this will undermine your confidence and your mental well-being for sure in a very short amount of time. So it's not just that you lack the time of coding, it's you promised it to yourself and then you had to break the promise.
That's my time. This is something that I promised to myself.
This is my time, exactly.
I'm gonna stick to this. And I will not accept any meeting in this time because it's my time and I need this time to do what I need to do. Is incredibly important to be what you said, to maintain the promise, to keep the promise with yourself. This also gives you like a sense of control on your time, which is something that makes you also feel more comfortable and more confident, right? And also you close the week and with some sense of accomplishment. Like I had my goals, I have my 2, 3, 4 blocks for coding, and I could get something out of it. And this was, at least for me, quite useful to remain in the right mindset. Yeah.
Exactly. There's also a group. So there's a group that can maintain it and they have control and they also have the strengths to say no. And then there's a group that doesn't have that control. And there can be different motivations behind it. For example, like the typical stereotype of being a people pleaser. Also, those people can become quite good leaders. However, they might overwhelm themselves by pleasing everyone and everything. In this case, I want to emphasize the fact that Emanuele just said, by just staying true to yourself, become a little bit egoistic for yourself, and to just simply say no and take over control. This is my advice.
I would not even call it egoistic.
Yeah, just like saying, because I'm saying it on purpose, because people who are people pleasing don't like being egoistic.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm saying in this case just to be super purposely this word, to move into this direction, to take control of oneself.
Yeah, I agree. It's a strong word, but it fits the message that you're sending. I do agree. I do agree.
Like egoistic, actually, you know, it has this meaning of being something bad, but it just means you put yourself first.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So you can even say neutral, or if you don't want to use the word egoistic, you can even say self-care.
Yeah, individualistic, self-centered, or I have to get stuff done, or it's a big corporate game, and I know that you're doing exactly what I'm doing to get your stuff done. So be part of the game and understand when I say no. I think we can phrase it whatever we want, but the important thing is to learn how to say no. I was a people pleaser myself, and I understand the struggle absolutely, right? Especially when some request comes from your manager, and you feel that you need to respond positively, otherwise it will cast a bad shadow on you. But it's exactly what you both are saying. Like it's also about to say no, I can't do that now. I can do it today or this day, but now I can't do that.
And this is also that we need to emphasize towards our reports, because I also feel like that it doesn't matter which level. Yeah. If I personally, like, I have an idea as a manager. Yeah. Let's say I'm the most top manager and have an idea, but I don't like is that I get a yes without questions or questionings. Because then I feel like I still feel like unsure what is happening. No one is talking to me. You know, I want to have a but. I want to have questions. I want to have like, this is not working. Why? Yeah. Or this is not working because. Because if I get those questions, if I get this is not working because, then I know, okay, this idea that I have needs to be optimized. This idea that I have needs to go into a different direction, and someone knows the risk. Someone thinks with me, and so I totally like encourage people to please don't put me into like a flower box or something. I just want the truth, because then I know everyone is working with me.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. But also to have this approach, you need to be maybe not the most hands-on person in the room, but also you need to have enough knowledge, could be technical knowledge or whatever, to foster this discussion, right? Because I've been working with managers who are absolutely not technical, and maybe they are also incredibly good managers actually. So I'm not saying that is always a negative thing. But then the discussion on the level that you're talking about, it's harder to get, right? Because the underlying hands-on knowledge is not there. It's nobody's fault, but it's something you need to consider definitely.
Exactly. Let's talk about it. You say also that the technical skills may often be idolized in the
Yeah.
tech field.
Yeah.
Why is it so?
Not only in the tech field, I would say, but in all the fields where there is a lot of being on the stage, I would say, right? So I studied music when I was a teenager, and I studied classical music, modern music, and I used to do, or jazz, for example, especially those very elitist words. And when you jump on the stage and you have to play, and like being technical is highly rewarded and is highly appreciated, is highly respected. I don't think it's only about being like, it's not only a matter of tech world. It's a matter of being on the stage, where the culture that we create is about putting people on the stage, then being able to fulfill the expectation and being able to get the stuff done at the best possible level. This is highly respected. Of course, in the tech world, we have seen in, I don't know what, I started studying computer science around 2007, 2008, and then I do remember there was a huge amount of hype around being the super rock star developer, or the guru, or the hero, or all those names that we like.
10x developers.
Yeah, 10x, another one, 10x developers. There was really the idea, like the rock star developer is exactly what I meant, right? Being on the stage like a rock star, because I mean, a rock star is on the stage and they need to perform. So this was exactly the same message, right? I mean, it's absolutely toxic, of course, not only in tech, but it has, everything comes from here, right? And you spend so much time reaching this kind of knowledge and this kind of understanding of the underlying tech, that of course like you also understand like the fact that you become an idol or something like this. But it's also something that is also changing quite a lot, not only because many people started rightfully pushing against this narrative, but also because, as I wrote in my article, we are dealing with the fact that, you know, the developer is not the mage in the tower speaking a language that nobody understands and able to do magic or whatever. Also thanks to AI, and also thanks to the innovation that we are seeing, software developer is becoming more and more like a commodity, something that is easier to achieve, and it's also easier to achieve by a multitude of people who do not have extremely high technical knowledge. And things are changing. Things are really changing. I do see that.
I also see, so one thing I see, that non-technical people are actually becoming more technical and understand technical things and technical concepts much easier.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying this because I still see some groups that still fulfill the stereotype when they encounter developer groups where the developers are truly speaking a different language. Because I don't see this very often. I still see it, but I don't see it very often. And what I also see is that becoming a manager has become idolized as well.
Really?
Yeah. For example, I see that, like, when we're talking about the progression inside a career, many times we're talking about moving into management, but not giving the opportunity to, like, simply staying an individual contributor. And so many companies don't have that knowledge that still individual contribution exists when progressing in career. And the only way to actually make career, make more money or whatsoever is by moving into management, which means like you need to become a people manager, you need to become director of engineering, you need to be at some point like CTO, whatever. Yeah. So this, I feel like, is becoming idolized. And so it's also becoming like some sort of like competitional game. Yes,
I totally agree.
In my bubble, it does.
I would not say, I would not.
Wrong.
What you mean? Now I understood what you mean. Like, but I also think that it becomes that it's because like the company we are talking about, or whatever company, doesn't have a career path that is correctly structured. The problem is that exactly there is no growth path outside of management. So rather than idolized, I would say it's just like forced into becoming a manager. And, you know, and this is incredibly problematic, because then you have a lot of managers who don't want to be manager, but just want to get a salary raise, and they are not able to lead. I fully agree with you. But when I talk with people and I propose them to become like a engineering manager or director or whatever, many times the answer that they get is, man, I've seen your calendar. No way I'm gonna do what you do. It's really not a thing that I would like to do.
This is not what I mean. I'm like, yes, I have seen these people as well, but I also have seen people who originally said the same thing, but then they are friending with the idea of becoming a manager because it's the only way to like progress. And I also have seen people and also competing in the same team, competing in the same department for becoming a manager.
I also see people competing in the same team and in the same department to become staff and to become principal. So I think that competition to grow, it's also somehow normal in the workplace. That can be more toxic, but
yeah. I don't know if there's like the thing is, I don't know if there's like so much competition for becoming staff, because many companies have set it up for just like a difficulty level and not as a limited position. The thing, yeah, I feel like that the team lead, engineering manager, tech lead, or stuff like that, this is like a limited position. You can only have one of them per team. And so this is where the fight basically starts, right? Where the game of the company kind of starts.
Well, it's also true that you cannot have like as many staff and as many principal that you want, right? So also somehow reaching the staff level is restricted. I don't know. I've seen a lot of competition, like very, very fierce competition, also to become a staff and to become a principal. So I
mean, principal by definition literally means the first one.
Yeah.
How many first ones can you have?
Exactly. It depends on the size of your department.
Yeah, but not that many, right? Like not everybody can be the first one. Otherwise, you're not the first one anymore.
I observed something in companies which are not well structured, that when a candidate comes with certain salary expectations who doesn't match the individual contributor level anymore, then suddenly, magically, the discussion starts if this person should become a team lead to justify the spendings for the salary. And I sometimes think like, wait a sec, is this person capable of doing that? Does this person wants to become a people manager? Are we really sure we should do that? Have we talked to all people involved? Very often the answer is no.
Exactly. But we want to keep the person, so
yeah, but we see so much potential in this hire.
Yeah, like all of us
on board, no matter what. And this is where shit hits the
fan. Just yesterday, I also stopped a promotion process. Like some people came to me and said, like, Birgit, we need to promote this person. And so let's promote this person. This person is really great. And so I asked the person, do you actually want that? And they said, no, I don't want that. Like no one asked the person, but everyone is promoting the person.
It's wonderful, right?
And the intention is to do something kind.
Yeah, I agree. And then this person will find themselves like in a completely different environment, and they will start realizing they
totally irritated, frustrated. Why are you even asking me? I don't want it.
And just a few months later, they meet someone like me, a recruiter from a different company, and they will complain that they don't have enough time to do what they actually want.
Yeah, of course.
No one has asked them.
And they were rusty, right? They were getting rusty, and their technical skills were not sharp anymore. They wanted to code more, and they feel frustrated. I know the story so well, really. It's like it's always repeating it.
So let's assume we have a person who is becoming a tech lead, whoever, and is doing less of coding, and so finds themselves of like feeling a little bit rusty. Yeah. So what are the potential consequences, both positive and negative, of allowing oneself to become rusty?
Yeah. Well, let's say that we have a tech lead, so someone who is growing into a new role, right? Because when you become an engineering manager, for example, when you start leading people, I'm talking especially when you start leading people, so doing something new. So this is not a real promotion. This is more like a career shift, right? I see an engineering manager closer to a product owner rather than like a super developer, if we want to use the word super developer. So what can go well when you start rusting a little bit? It goes well the fact that you start learning other skills that you will learn on the job. So you will start learning how to lead people, how to deal with stakeholders, which stakeholder management sounds like a very easy thing to do on paper, but it's freaking difficult when you have to deal with a lot of folks involved in so many things, and you need to keep everything in the right place. It's very difficult. You start acting to protect your team. You start acting to evaluate people, to grow people, to mentor people. Those are skills that have to be learned in a leadership position, and you will need time to learn this. And this time will need to take. You will need to get this time somewhere. Times doesn't really like appears like from nowhere, right? And that's what is gonna that is gonna go very well. Like, moving into the role that you are supposed to take. So investing on the role that you are supposed to take. So this is definitely the thumbs up. The thing that are gonna improve. The thing that are gonna go worse, or the skills that are going to decrease, is definitely the technical skill doesn't degree to every extent, right? What degrees is the understanding of the details and the execution speed. So if you ask me to code now, and I still code during my week, and I have my project, I do my small stuff. I still do it, but I'm way slower in catching up new things, or in producing something than I was when I was a developer, a full-time developer. But what I got is a different perspective. So now I'm way more able to understand the zoomed out perspective, understand the big systems or the pieces of the system, and connect them. So I'm way more able to talk about architecture. I'm way more able to talk about software complexity. I'm way more able to talk about monitoring, observability, and all those other things, because I had the time during the last years to move away from the details. I think this is the balance that is going to happen when you start transitioning.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
because those things are so different from coding, you
Yes.
actually need to want that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good point. You need to want them. Also, when you talk with developers and they say, I want to become a staff engineer or an architect or whatever, it's not going to be a role where you will code the majority of your time, because again, it's also like the last role where you can code 8 9 hours a day is probably senior developer. So it's also understandable, and it's also right and fair that increasing your salary, increasing your position, increasing your role, you will also need to do more, and you will also have more responsibilities. So we also have to do more things, and people would expect more from you, which is something different from just coding, right? And let's not forget one very important thing: developers are not paid to code. Developers are paid to solve problems. Coding is just a way to solve problems. It's not necessarily the only way to solve problems. And this is something that a lot of developers don't really, they really struggle to understand that. And I see that. I do see that. For example, we would need a lot of support in architecture management, or I don't know, um, not backlog manager, but technical debt management, or all this kind of stuff that usually developers don't like to do. This is something that will make the boat go faster, will improve the technical aspect of our companies. And this is something that as very senior developers should do. I would expect them to do that. But of course, it's not coding. It's not coding. It's still technical work, but it's not coding. And this is quite hard to digest when you are in this I don't want to rust mindset.
Mhm. This also reminds me that once a developer needs to do these things, then it turns into a meeting, and then at some point you have like complaints about meetings,
Yeah, of course.
right? So this is how you know as a developer that you need to do the work, even though it's not coding.
I also have an example from when I was studying music, because I always try to compare those two words because I'm very, 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 very comparable. So when I started playing guitar, I just wanted to be super fast, and I was spending the whole day playing and exercising with a metronome, 8 hours a day. Then I started working and studied in a conservatory, and of course, there is so many other things that you have to do, like music theory, music history, solfege. So like being able to read music, and so I started studying something else, and I felt exactly the same pain. Like I was not able to be so technical anymore, because I had to do many other things, like learning how to read music, learning how to do composition, or do many other things. So I was getting better as a musician, but not so good, not as good as I was before, in only focusing on technical stuff. So I also realized that with focusing on guitar technique, or focusing on being technical, is also somehow a comfort zone. This is something we need to deal with it. It's also a way to say, I don't want to get out of this comfort zone because I feel safe here. Like building my microservice, building my stuff that works, monitoring, doing testing. This is something that I've been doing for 10 years. I'm super comfortable here. It's hard for me to understand this. And it was the same thing for me with music.
Absolutely reminds me to like how we are creating in-depth knowledge versus wide knowledge.
Yes.
I have the feeling that if you build enough in-depth knowledge within your wide knowledge, so you not only have one topic that you're really, really good at, but you have many topics that you are like kind of good at, that you become the number one person to talk to solve a problem.
Yeah.
So you have this responsibility, that responsibility, and then you also take on some responsibilities on your own because you see that there's a problem that you can solve.
Yeah.
And this is also overwhelming for those people who are like kind of good at everything. Yeah. It doesn't, and I don't mean like we have one or two in-depth topics and you have then like flat knowledge. No, I mean like this flat knowledge has a little bit of width. Yeah. So you have some knowledge that you are capable of doing a project in all of these topics on your own. So this much knowledge. And I find these personalities really great because someone like you, Emanuela, because you are capable of reading into a topic, learning a new topic quite fast, and therefore you end up like being capable of doing a project on your own. And but it also comes with the backlash that you might have too many tasks on your shoulders, right?
True.
I have seen this also in within many developers, other managers, also within myself. And so, like just today, I gave the tip again, like, hey, dude, you have so many skills and you take on so much projects. I guess the skill that you need to learn is teaching other people your skills, so that you can take off the task off your shoulders, you know.
Multiply yourself, becoming a multiplier, right? Delegating. Like
Absolutely.
what happens if you change job? What happens if you get hit by a bus, like the bus factor, the story behind the bus factor?
It doesn't matter. It's just like, just giving yourself some air to breathe, this is the aim.
True. I fully agree with you. 100%.
Absolutely.
I think, isn't it also about the feeling of being needed, being wanted that is behind? Being not replaceable?
Of course. Absolutely. This is like Toy Story. Remember when the new toy joined the family, and then the main character is a toy, and it says like, I don't want to be replaced with a new toy which is cooler, is shiny, is better than me. And this is exactly the point here, right? And again, goes back to the hero culture, to the rock star culture. Like, I am cool because I'm on the stage. I'm cool because everybody look at me, because everybody wants me, because I'm important. And this is something I don't want to let go. And also what I also wrote in my article, it's also the amount of time that you put into creating this. Becoming good at developing software is not something that you do in a couple of weeks. It takes years, literally years. It's understandable that people don't want to let it go, because many years have been spent in learning. I mean, graduating, starting at university, and doing internship, and working also in your free time, and studying also. It's hard to let it go. I understand it. It's human.
Absolutely. And it also comes with the fact that once you teach other people to do these things, the other stuff that new leaders are learning is to be patient with people making mistakes, and also that is like a king move, to purposely make them make mistakes, right? Because this is the fastest way of learning, and that, which means you say, okay, let's make a mistake, because this is how we can learn.
Yeah, of course. It's mentoring, right? It's teaching, it's coaching, it's mentoring. It's also like when you teach your kids going with a bicycle, they will fall and they will cry. It's part of learning how to go with a bicycle. There is nothing you can do. They just have to fall, cry, and learn while doing. Mistake is part of learning.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a TypeScript workshop this week, and it took me like an hour, just an hour. Yeah. How did I do this? Again, like I always started with a mistake, so that the people understand TypeScript is for preventing this mistake.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
And they love it. Like other people say, like, "Oh my god, TypeScript! I have to type something, and this is so uncool," and they love it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can really imagine. Next time I will join your workshop. Now I'm curious.
Nice. Shall we take on the next question? About AI, how has the rapid evolution of technology, including AI, shifted the importance of staying hands-on versus managing strategically?
Yeah. So for me, actually, it helped me quite a lot, like remaining hands-on and understanding what is going on the tech world. So during the last couple of months, I started studying a new programming language, which is Rust, remaining in the Rusty world. It's incredible to see how AI helped me out, like doing pair programming, or what I usually do. I ask AI to give me like to write a function in three different way and explain me why what is the good or the bad about every approach. Or I write something, I give it to AI, and I ask them, hey, can you? I ask it is a tool. I ask it to correct it. It helped me a lot, but also I reached the point where I'm starting to realize that coding is not that arcane, it's not that magic anymore. It's just like, something that also a machine can do. Maybe it's not perfect, maybe it's not great, not yet, but I mean, this is how I'm using AI to interact with the tech world and to remain in touch with the tech world, and to also to mentor the people.
Isn't that a strange feeling? Couple of minutes ago, you talked about this software developer rockstar, a rockstar who is an artist, right? And now you just said AI is capable of doing
Yeah.
something that the rockstar also does.
Yeah.
Isn't that a huge difference also in, how it looks like, the artist, the human being, the robot, so to say?
But everything boils down to the fact that for many years, developers have thought that writing code is a form of art, and it's not. It's
I
not.
must say, I'm dealing with a lot of sequential code right now that is written by humans, and that AI produces similar code. Yeah, so it will produce you some sort of code that you may understand and that you may use. However, it maybe not be as scalable as you wish. So give it 5 years, give it 10 years. Yeah, the code eventually needs to change. And so AI, I don't know, like I guess as a human, you still need to like read the books about architecture, about code design, to better build your code so that eventually you can like refactor your code without breaking something inside your code, and scale it, add features, remove features, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is I think this is the art that people are talking about. Yeah.
But also, like, don't you feel like for many years coding has been seen like a form of art?
I feel like that it is more accessible, so non-technical people have access. However, I totally do discuss this matter with non-technical people. I still feel that they might not understand what they are getting from AI.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's one thing. But I feel like, and I totally welcome the accessibility. If they use it for learning, if they use it for studying, that's totally fine. And also when they start using it on production, this is also totally fine. But at some point, they need to move from this level. AI is producing junior code, basically, from this level to a more senior level. So And most of the time, AI is not producing such code
I agree.
that people learn basically from the start. When
I
I
agree.
was junior, I was pretty surprised about like one front end that some seniors have produced, of course, without AI, because it was like, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. And I was so surprised about like how well the entire stuff was structured. As a junior, I just started out doing my first commits. I understood the structure from the start. And this is something that I wish for every newcomer to see. But I know that newcomers who don't know how code can be structured may be overwhelmed on how to structure the code.
No, that I would agree, actually. That I would agree. But also in this case, AI can support, right? I found myself using AI massively to understand the structure of a project. For example, on GitHub, and I would like to better understand how a project was coded, and I just give it to an AI, and I say, hey, can you teach me about this software? Can you tell me what is the entry point? Can you tell me the structure? Is it using any framework? And I noticed that it does it quite well, actually. So I'm able to grasp the project in a couple of 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just like following some guidance. I agree with you. It's a middle ground. Like AI is not like a senior, it's not even like a complete junior. It's more like a nice tool to speed up the repetitive work at the moment. That's
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
kind of work at the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does. And also what I find quite interesting, especially as a manager who doesn't code a lot, it also takes time to research new technology. So you find yourself being like moving quite quickly to ask ChatGPT about the technology, about some code examples, about how to implement that, and risk and opportunities, best practices, and stuff like that.
True, I
And
agree.
this is something that I would recommend for managers to like just keep an eye on like some technology, because otherwise you would find yourself reading some blog post which is an opinion, and within ChatGPT you might have like a really good summary of all of the sources outside of the internet.
Yeah. Or you can ask them to be to bring both sides, right? Hey, could you give me like 10 reason why this technology is good and 10 reason why this is not good, so you can get both sides. I agree.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. um can you share how like curiosity and hands-on engagement with technology influences your approach as a leader?
Well, I took a lot from my curiosity in tech as a leader. So mainly the willingness to try new stuff. Um, because in the end, like being a leader, like director of engineering or whatever, is about zooming out and working on systems rather than details, as we already said. If you don't have this curiosity, if you do not have the will to to learn more and to try also something out, um, this is not going to work. So back in the day, as a developer, everything was about creating a POC or testing the new technology or building a couple of functions to see how it worked. Now it's more about creating different team structure or trying out different constellation or working with different responsibilities or working with different people who have different challenges. And this willingness of trying new stuff and improve continuously is definitely something that comes from the development world. Of course, you cannot roll back on people. This is something that I always say. You cannot just say, I made a mistake, I'm gonna roll back on a person, and we're gonna go back to the point where the relationship was not broken or when we everything worked out. People are way more complicated, of course. With software, it's easy.
What a pity.
Yeah. But this is also the cool part in our job, right? It's a different skill set, but also a different set of difficulties, I would say. Yeah. So yeah, curiosity.
Absolutely.
This really helped me quite a lot.
Curiosity is very important, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Maybe more for a leader than for a developer, because
Mhm.
as a developer, you are basically submerged. You are continuously flooded with opportunity to learn. If you want to learn how
Mhm.
to code in a new programming language, you have, I don't know, thousands of video or courses or whatever to learn. If you want to learn how to be a good manager, I don't know. It's the amount of resources that you can really, that you can really follow. It's not that big. So you need more curiosity to ask yourself, but can I do something better? Can I improve the situation in a different way? Can I experiment something? Can I try something out? Can I? And this is curiosity. It's the ultimate, it's the core of it.
Exactly. From my experience, it's also possible to somehow kind of like roll back a fuck up with a person, like relationship with a person. Of course, it's not easy as a push commit, right? But imagine we're talking about some sort of like commits. Yeah, you would need to have many more of those. Yeah, and many different ones. So you need to have different strategies and many attempts to like make a relationship better with a person in your team. If I can make it that, if I can say it like that.
Yeah, I do understand. Yeah, I understand the point. Yeah.
Exactly. When we're talking about allocating time, yeah, how do you allocate time to stay connected with tech trends, but without sacrificing time for leadership and team development?
Yeah, I do exactly the same thing that I used to do when I was a developer. Back in the day, I used to allocate time to code. Now I used to allocate time to study, research, investigate, write a blog post, learn some article about leadership, whatever is needed, right? I just allocate time to study what I'm doing. So when, in terms of leadership, I consider leadership something that I can learn and improve at. So I do not really believe in the idea of natural born leader, all this kind of stuff.
Natural born leader, but
Yeah, I mean, like yeah, you have like natural leadership. There is no such thing like natural. Nobody borns with a skill, right? You develop a skill. That's not that, maybe you are a little bit more how can I say, more um, closer to the skill. Maybe sometimes is a little bit easier, but like it's never so natural. Never doesn't come natural. It requires study, application, effort, trial and error, and so on and so forth.
Exercise.
So I do exactly the same thing. I allocate time, which is usually Friday. Tomorrow I have 2 hours when I do usually. This is my time slot, and I do study.
And I think it's also a lot of effort. I kind of remember, like when you said like natural leader, I remember the times when people told me you are a natural painter.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't know me. I was like going to a workshop every day when I was 12.
Exactly.
I did paint from 6 years on,
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is like, for example, Mozart, right?
I just wanted to bring this example.
Exactly. Like everybody, like was a genius. Not really. Like his father was almost aggressive against him to push him and make him play hours and hours and hours and hours a day.
It's lots of effort, lots of repeated exercises.
Lots of pain.
Lots of pain.
For Mozart, maybe for me it was not. I like to paint. I like to draw.
But also frustration, right? When you are growing and you do something new and doesn't really look as you want, and there is some, let's say, also pain doesn't.
Yeah. Sometimes I threw a paper against the wall, but at some point I also learned, like from my masters, to how to redo a painting.
Yeah, definitely. It's also a way of growing. Yeah, I agree with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and the same way also comes with leadership. There are many ways on how to exercise the leadership as well. My personal recommendation is to just like go into like a group, whether it's like an NGO, team sports. I like esports, go into an esport game, build a guild, be the leader of the guild and see how this goes.
Yeah. Practice also. Yeah, practice
Exactly.
doing like charity work or I agree. I do agree.
Some people become firefighters and the team leader of a firefighter. This is also good. So if you're not into gaming, do that.
I mean, leadership is not only about tech or about leadership can be everywhere, right? So again, it's exactly what you said. I agree.
Yeah. And then we find ourselves like problem solving something different than just code. And
Yes.
let's also ask the question, how can leaders redefine the perception of problem solving beyond just coding to include the impactful approaches?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's like this is also something that I'm exploring at the moment, right? Like I'm starting to understand that like leadership is not just one thing; it's a lot of things, and it's more closer to system thinking and system interaction rather than solving a problem, putting things together, or people or whatever, putting system together. And I would agree with you, like a person who is leading like a bakery or a person who is leading like a CTO is leading, it's not that different. It's just like there are many things that can be reused. So it's a very interesting topic. I'm still exploring, but absolutely an interesting topic
What
to
are
get.
your what are some results that you already have explored?
Well, so first of all, the amount of reusability that you can have in leadership, right? So I'm actually talking with a lot of people who are leading outside of tech. Is exactly what you said. Like, can be the team leader of firefighters, can be the leader of a band, which is not a real leader, is someone who is trusted in a band, or I don't know, someone who is really. I made an example about a bakery, but I'm also talking with someone who is leading a bakery. So this person he's a person who has a bakery and many people reporting to him, and he has to make things work. And also, like, a lot of problems are let's say they happen cross industry, like it's not really something related to tech. Understanding this overlap is incredibly interesting, and also quite I can also grow quite a lot understanding what other people are struggling with, even though they come from a different perspective, and also try to adapt my solution to their problem. This kind of exchange. This is really motivating, interesting, and it's a good exercise that I would recommend to everybody, especially if you feel that you're rusty with your technical skills. This can really give you a lot of stuff to wrap your mind around and to work
That's
hard.
quite interesting, yeah. Because I see also the same power by just being a parent, by
Also,
like having a dog, for example. You also need to lead the dog,
also,
or also just being simply in a relationship. Of course, you
also,
don't want to be the parent inside a relationship,
also.
but an equal partner. But it also means like learning to listen, learning to understand, and communication and stuff like that, right?
Being consistent.
Being consistent
Being
and stuff like
consistent.
that.
Yeah, of course. Develop yourself, develop the relations, sacrifice, compromise. It's a lot of leadership also, right?
Being
Absolutely.
consistent helps the dog, the kid, and the partner.
Also, the friends also, right?
The friends
Everybody,
also,
the
right?
friends also. Yeah, I agree.
Right. What's your take on balancing legacy knowledge with the need to embrace new skills and technologies?
Well, my take is that it has to be something that you do with pleasure. Like, you need to find a way to make this process enjoyable. This is like going to the gym or train or getting out with friends. Or if embracing if embracing the new comes with a sense of pain, this is not going to work. So try to find a way to gamify this bringing the new into, and try to follow this approach. This is maybe it means that you need to focus on different things. It means that you will probably understand that what you're doing is really not you want to do. And this also can also be like a very eye-opening experience. But this is my take. Like, try to find a way to get passionate about the process and not only about the outcome, right? The the, the, the journey is the real experience here. This is my take.
Absolutely, absolutely. Shall we ask the last question? What
Sure.
is your most positive interview experience, Emmanuel?
My most positive, you mean like job interview?
Yeah.
Um, my most positive job interview, it was a job interview with a manager of mine, which I really appreciate a lot. And the interview was Basically, this person asked almost no question. It was basically just like, I never had this feeling. He let me talk about my experience and about what I was doing and about what was my, and was incredibly cool because he was quite good in, asking only the small things that he wanted to know, but it felt like I was absolutely the main character of the interview. I didn't felt like I was interviewed. And 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 also what really remained with me is that after many months that we were working together, he was able to remember a lot of small details of things that I said during the interview. So he was not only letting me talk, but he was an incredibly good active listener. And I really, I really have this interview in my mind as a role model for what concerned active listening. Like, this person was really listening extremely deep, extremely attentive. It was impressive.
So you felt heard and seen.
Absolutely, 100%. I felt like was incredible to see how much attention this person put in understanding who I was. Never happened in my life. It was really incredible.
I get a little bit of like chill because it sounds like this person has like a lot of grounded experience as a leader.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, absolute years of experience is not like he's a person who has been like years and years, decades in this world. And this is also like a very good expression of the fact that older folks sometimes have a lot to learn and have a lot to bring to the table, exactly because of all the experience that they collected. Maybe I'm starting to talk this way because I'm getting old, so I'm trying to to put myself in a good position. But really, this was an enlightening interview for me. Was incredibly interesting. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very, very much, Emanuele. Thank you very much for being here, Emanuele.
Thank you for
And
having me.
thank you, the audience, for listening. We are closing this session now, and we will be checking in for